Live we are.
Yeah. Nice to be back. Ended up being away for a week.
Yep. It was a holiday anyway.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's also partially due to my accidental self-inflicted injury.
Yeah, well, quit stabbing yourself with broken mirrors. Uh-oh.
I didn't stab myself. My truck stabbed me. It's totally different.
That wasn't, oh, that's not good. Where'd that come from?
Where'd what come from?
You can't hear it.
Well, that's a good thing,
well,
isn't it?
Not necessarily. It all depends on whether I can hear it or not. Or whether or not it's being transmitted. I hear a sudden buzz.
Oh. Yeah.
Only when I'm talking, though.
Huh. I wonder if it's feedback.
Well, there shouldn't be any feedback. Let's see what we got here.
Well, Alter Ego, do you hear the buzz?
Well, it depends on whether they're listening or not.
They're listening.
All right.
There's always ears in the shadows.
As we prepare for the summer and get everything wound up and ready to go for summertime.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks. I've actually gone like 3-4 shades darker.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you get to spend time outdoors.
Well, I got my sandals like a week ago, and now I've got these 2 random little patches on the top of my feet, and I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of that suntan line.
No, sandal suntan lines tend to stay there for quite some time.
It's like these 2 little dark spots right on the top of my feet and then my toes. That's the only parts that have tanned, and it's like 3 shades darker than every other part of my foot, and it looks so weird when I have no shoes on.
It could be more entertaining. It could be the old flip-flop tan line. Giant V on your foot.
That one is really entertaining, but I don't know how people wear flip-flops. Like having that between your toes, my toes are always wiggling trying to get it out from between them.
You adjust to them. I used to wear them all the time when I was a kid. Mainly because the beach sand is really hot.
So nope, there is no buzz being transmitted.
Okay, well, fine. I won't stress it then.
To suffer.
I won't stress it then. We'll move along without stressing anything.
Excellent. That's the best way to go.
That's so weird.
You know what's really amazing?
What?
The capability of teens to lose glasses.
Well.
Like, I am super impressed. My older one ended up being late for school today because she can't go to school without her glasses. Otherwise, she ends up with a massive migraine and has to go home. And she managed to lose both her regular glasses and her backup glasses. Well, we managed to find her backup glasses, but her regular glasses, I think the face snatched them.
No, they got to be there somewhere.
That's what we thought, but we have literally gone through every single place. We found her other missing items, like her inhaler.
Oh, well. Keep digging. It'll eventually show up.
Yeah, I'm thinking that what we need to do is for her next pair of glasses, because they're going to be getting, both of my kids need to be retested in June. So for the next pair of glasses, I want to get one of those little like clappers. You clap your hands and it starts making sounds at you, and we'll just attach it to her glasses so she can't lose them anymore.
You can also get the little GPS trackers.
There we go. That would actually be the best option.
Glue a GPS tracker.
One of those little sticker GPS trackers, stick it to her glasses and she can't lose them.
Yep. Then you'll know where they disappear.
Actually, do you know if they make them that small?
I have no idea if they make them that small.
I'm gonna have to look into this because I'm seriously considering this.
Something that sends out a radar notification anytime you bring a phone near them. Ping. All kinds of weird and oddball things to make it fun and entertaining.
Hey, if it helps to keep teens from losing their glasses, absolutely. Granny strings? No, granny strings don't work because whenever you have those on your glasses and you have to wear the glasses all day long, the little plastic bits that sit on the earpiece dig into you. And they create their own headache, and like I tried using those before, and they actually, like, the plastic will cut into you and start making you bleed if you have to wear them for too long a period of time. Yeah.
All right, a little bit of music, then it's showtime. It was a slow pre-stream today.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stands still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder, we're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning, Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder, we're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder, we're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder, we're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
Alrighty. Shall we get started?
Absolutely.
And they're off.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for WordPress plugins A to Z, not Z.
It's episode 601, and we have plugins for making WordPress recipes, logging session timeouts, and WordPress news, all coming up on WordPress plugins from A to Z. WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress plugins from A to Z. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the brewery overlooking beautiful southern Vancouver Island. I'm John Overall, and with me is the ever lovely
Amber overall.
And we have the usual great show for you today. If we have any sound issues, please let us know, because it wasn't working perfectly well this morning. I'll blame it on the update. Microsoft crammed down my throat yesterday.
Blame it on the AI. You know the AI is playing around now.
It's
been loosed into the world.
The AI is everywhere. It's everywhere and everything. You know, we've got everything happening right now. You know, I've got really nothing else to say.
Thank you for sharing, John. Now get down from that soapbox.
That was beautiful. I love that timing. So welcome to episode 601 or 601. Writing above the rest. We've got a couple of great in-depth plugins to cover for you. Some recent news in both the WordPress world and the tech world in general. And some awesome WordPress tips. So far, I've actually been really enjoying the summer weather. But this morning, it was kind of overcast and cooler. And I gotta say, the coolness was nice. I ended up going out and watering the potted plants in the coolness. And it was so nice not feeling like I was getting burned immediately.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Mm-hmm. So we have some reminders before we start the show today. Remember, the show starts at 12:30 on Mondays, Pacific time, and we do have a pre-stream starting somewhere around 12:15. The pre-stream is where we twiddle with the dials and knobs and really just warm up our voices and get ready for the actual entertainment part. Our show notes for each episode can be found at wpplugins.com. And the newest show notes will be up within 24 hours, and they'll be on our front page, so they're really easy to find. And don't forget, this is a value for value show, and you are a big part of this show's creation. You are our producers, not just our listeners. We need you to help us produce. So get on out there, hit some like buttons, share an episode or two, and just let people know that you help produce the longest running WordPress plugins podcast. That's it for reminders. Don't forget to stick around for the end of the show, because we always have our Q&A right there at the end. You might actually pick up something useful. Let's start today's show off with the artist. We have an awesome picture of some hot air balloons floating across the desert.
It is balloon! Sorry, had to do that.
I think it's a desert. Is it a desert?
It looks like a desert. I'm not sure. It's a really cool photo, though.
Or a canyon? Yeah, every time when I saw this, the first thing that popped into my head was just freedom.
Yeah, well.
And if it is a desert, definitely the best way to cross a desert. Up in the sky with some shade and some breeze going on.
Well, I don't know there's so much shade there, but definitely a breeze.
Well, there's a giant balloon over top of you. Wouldn't that cause some shade?
Depends on the angle of the sun.
Oh, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
I've never been in one. I've always wanted to go in one. So thank you to Greg's Graphics for this. This is an older piece. We are still going through our art vaults, and we would love to have some new art added. So if you're feeling inspired at all, you can send it in to us at wpplugins.com/artwork. And you can also check out all of the art that we have there in our art vaults, and maybe you'll find some inspiration in there. On to the news.
Please, can everybody be quiet? Please be quiet. Shut up! And now the news with Amber.
So first up, we have our WordPress vulnerability report for May 24th, 2023. As of May 20th, there has been a new update released for WordPress core. This is 6.2.2. This has fixed the bugs that were introduced by 6.2.1 that broke the shortcode functionality and brought in some security issues. The next major version of WordPress is slated to be released in August, and that will be version 6.3, so you might want to get a little ready for that. And there is quite a list of plugins that have been patched, including a lot of WooCommerce plugins. So be sure to check out that list and get the updates into the sites that you run or that you own if you haven't already. There's also a pretty decent list for plugins without a patch that have vulnerabilities. The ones that I most easily recognized were Easy Forms for MailChimp, Custom Post Type Generator, Easy Captcha, and SEO Change Monitor. Like the first three I said there, I've seen those a lot. They're very common. And then we also have a nice long list of WordPress themes with vulnerabilities. I'm actually going to read them all off for everyone. We have Sparkle Store, Metro Store, Buzz Store, Spider Mag, Craft Blog, King Cabs, Medical Heed, Apps End, Fitness Park, Cath Mag, and Online eStore. So if you use any of those or recognize any of those, be aware there is some vulnerabilities going on. They haven't patched them yet. Keep an eye on this list. You can find the link in our show notes under news.
I suggest you don't use the themes that have everything in them.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. I found that it creates problems, and when they go bad, well, they go bad, and you have to wait for the developer to patch them because of all the plugins they throw into the theme. So you're at that mercy. So I would suggest, use a basic theme and add specifically the plugins you need.
Makes it a lot easier, especially when things go wrong, because rather than having the whole building collapse on you, you just got to replace one wall.
Yep, pretty much.
Next, we have ACF plugins reflected XSS vulnerability attracts exploit attempts within 24 hours of public announcement. So what happened was I read out this this vulnerability in the last show we did, but what's interesting is that when PatchStack published the security advisory, within 24 hours, the attacker started exploiting the weakness, but they were exploiting the weakness by taking the sample code that PatchStack had given to instigate the attacks, which is kind of interesting.
Well, you know, lazy hackers.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I never really thought about that because the sample code they give, I didn't really think would make it possible for them to use.
That was a proof of concept, probably.
Ah, okay, yeah.
You know, that's the problem. Is if they it's one thing for them to announce they found a hack. It's another when they announce the proof of concept. Because then the hackers go, oh wait, you've done my work for me. Oh, cool. I could just take your code and run with it. Yeah, it's really silly when they do that.
Well, next up we have WordPress is developing a command center for quick search and navigation inside the admin. So this idea was introduced into Gutenberg for 15.6 under the experimental flag, and currently has limited use in the site editor context while navigating and editing templates. The idea is to introduce it into the core to give users the ability to more easily navigate to other areas of the site and to use as a quick search function. Now, I can see how this would be useful, but I'm not entirely sure how well it's going to be useful for a lot of people.
Well, we'll see what happens as it develops.
Yeah, and like their search function has never really been great in my experience, so not sure if it would really help with the whole search thing. But I mean, navigating more easily, like if you're like what they're talking about is when you're in the editing area, being able to navigate to different parts of the site more easily, that might actually come in useful. Save a bit of time here and there. And then there's also a new proposal that's looking to retire older WordPress default themes.
What? No more Kubrick? Aww.
So a new proposal recommends winding down active maintenance on older themes and implementing a new system of requirements for retiring them. This proposal seeks to retire older themes after a minimum of 5 years of support and when usage falls to less than 1% of all WordPress sites as determined by WordPress.org data. So I kind of understand where they're going here because they have so many older themes. It takes a lot to keep them all up.
Yes, it does. It takes a while to manage and maintain them because they've been changing them over the years.
Yeah.
To adapt.
So I kind of get it. And then this I thought might be useful for some people. Like Lemony Child theme seems to be a fairly popular theme, and they now have their first block theme out with more than 30 patterns, and it's completely free. So if Lemony theme, if the Lemony theme is something that people use or really like, and they've moved into the Gutenberg block kind of style, you now have it available to you.
Nice.
And then we got to announce WordPress turned 20.
Yep. Same day my oldest boy turned 16.
Yep. So WordPress is officially 20. And for WordPress, part of their celebration is WordPress and Drupal co-founders discuss open source AI and the future of the web. Both of these articles are worth checking out, and you can find the link in our show notes, especially with all the people talking about AI and the future of the web. I actually found it very interesting.
Cool. One to read then.
And then we have a glimpse into AI's future and architecture, inflatable skyscrapers.
Yeah. Why wouldn't that surprise me?
See, the idea here is that they will actually be really useful because they can be inflated to lofty heights, flattened right down for easy portability. You know, you just need to make sure you dispose of all sharps before you enter the building.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know, they're going to inflate the floors too.
I have no idea.
That's going to make it really sturdy.
Yeah, this whole idea I'm not sure about, but it's quite entertaining. This is AI generating architecture.
Yeah, well, you should see some of the AI images that have been generated, man.
Yeah.
They're really entertaining.
Very entertaining.
Okay.
Oh, Hendian said something about the hackers.
Lazy.
Generally, the lazy hackers rely on lazy site maintainers.
Yes.
Keep up to date with all your patches, and keep up to date, and you should be okay.
That's true. They do. The lazy hackers do depend on that, and also the bots depend on that too. So
yeah. So we have a bunch of extras here. We actually have a lot of WordPress information in the extras. So if you're interested, you'll want to check that out. We also have a couple of other things like crypto information and how your next home could be 3D printed.
Oh, they've been doing 3D printed homes for several years.
Yeah, but now they're actually moving into like more industrial, becoming more popular and stuff.
Well, they had to perfect the process first, and it's quite the process. It's really fascinating. I've seen videos on how they've done it. So,
dragon rating time.
Absolutely. Wrong one. Let's try that one more time.
Dragon rating time.
There you go. All right. First plugin I've got for you out the gate today is a freemium plugin, but I actually run the premium version of it. But there is a free version. It's WP Recipe Maker. Now, if you have recipes you want to share with the world, or you run a website that recipes play an integral part of the website, there are a lot of recipe plugins out there. And I tried probably 6 or 7 of them before I found this one. This one is the easiest and best one of all the ones I've used. It's very good. These guys have been around. I think I've been using mine now for about 4 or 5 years, and they've been around for a while, and they've grown up and done an excellent job with making it easy to insert the recipes, easy to put the data in there. Also, they've got all the schema markup data in there for Google to pick up and the search engines to pick up. You know, they've even got an optimization in here for non-food recipes. If you've got other types of recipes you create than just food item recipes, you can create a couple of different types of recipes. The nice thing about this plugin is it still works very well if you're a classic editor user, and it works very well in the Gutenberg editor. The element and also has an Elementor block and shortcode that can be used in page builders. So it's a very versatile recipe plugin. I found it to be fantastic. I initially started with the free version until I realized I needed all the little bonuses in the pro version. You know, it gives you excellent setup. One of the things that's really good if you're running, like I use it on the Oasis. And the nice thing is some of the ingredients in my recipes are things that I sell on the site. And so you can actually link your ingredients to products that you sell, or if you're an affiliate marketer, you can link ingredients to your affiliate marketing in here, so that you have a way to make a little extra money off it. When people say, hey, that's a cool ingredient, where do I get that? And they click on the link and away they go to find it. You can, if you want to use the WordPress REST API, you can do that for it. The plugin is absolutely responsive. In the premium version of the plugin, you get, like I just said, the ingredient links. You can adjust the different servings. You can set it up so people can, like if you make a recipe that's set for 8 people and they only want to make it for 2, they can click a button and it will automatically readjust all the ingredients proportionately for them to make it for 2. Kind of a useful thing. If you get into all of the really heavy stuff like nutritional labeling and user ratings, these are in the premium version. They also have a kitchen timer if you set in all your timers in here in the premium version that people can use on their mobile phone to see, timing for things out. And they also have templates in there, premium templates for layout of the recipe, or you can get in there and customize it up yourself. There's a really lot in here with all the integration of it and the functionality. I find it to be really excellent. And, listing it all up, it makes for a very pretty recipe. It's got the print button there for people. It's got the save button there for people. They even have ways that they can create their own lists of favorite recipes if you have a membership section set up on your site. Just a lot that this plugin can do to help manage and promote your recipes in your site. So go check it out. Check out the free version. See if it's what you want. Oh, another bonus I forgot to mention in here. If you're using another recipe plugin you're not overly happy with, well, they have the ability to import from most other recipe plugins into this one here. That way you don't have to
Cool.
you don't have to redo all your recipes if you're in some other recipe. You have to go to their listing on their site. They list it up here. Where is it here? Yeah, they get it like Tasty Recipes, Metavine, Easy Recipe, Ultimate Recipe, Yummy, Cooked, Cookbook, Recipes by all these different plugins that they will import recipes from. So
Very nice.
that's a fairly extensive list of other recipe plugins. You can export your data out into this recipe plugin, saving you tons of time. So anyway, great plugin. Go check it out. It's the WP Recipe Maker. And because I've been playing with the premium version, this one lands itself a beautiful 5 dragon rating.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we have some WordPress tips for today. So this is still this was a new segment. Now it's just part of our regular show. But we would still love for our listeners out there to give us some feedback. Or if you have some tips of your own, send them on in. We'll add them in here because nobody can ever have enough tips, to be honest.
True.
So I have a couple of tips here. Making sites. One of the things I've noticed is that I've been having some issues updating the Elementor Pro plugin recently. You go to tell it to update, and then it says it can't update because it's at the latest version. And then you go and you check out the updates dashboard and it says that you still need to update Elementor Pro. Well, one of the things I've noticed is like before I would always go over to Elementor and I get the Pro license and I get the Pro most recent update and I'd go and I'd, the whole thing. But I realized that if you just go into the dashboard area and you check mark it and tell it to update from there, sometimes that will do the trick beautifully. I'm not sure why it wasn't working like that before, but I've noticed this time around when I was having issues with it, it's worked every time with no issues. And sometimes I needed to refresh and then do that, and it worked beautifully. So that's a little tip that people might find helpful before you go into the Elementor site and go through all the logging in and everything to get the latest version. Try that first.
Yeah, that also happens with other plugins. I've written it off as a glitch in the update process of WordPress.
I've only experienced it with Elementor.
I've experienced it with many other plugins. The exact same problem.
Well, you've been around a lot longer than me too, so.
I just write it off as a glitch. Whenever I have the problem from the plugins page, it won't update. I go straight to the dashboard updates page and try it there. If it doesn't work there, then I go fetch the plugin. Now, the biggest problem I've seen with it is it's almost exclusively with premium plugins.
Okay.
And it seems to be a premium plugin because the premium plugins don't come from the WordPress repository. Mm-hmm. So what you're looking at is it goes to the repository of the plugin developer, and maybe they're having a problem with their connection to the WordPress API. That's the only thing I can think of that's causing it.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. All right. And some beginner's tips. Sometimes when you're working on something on a site and you keep failing at getting something in particular right, like say you're trying to figure out a piece of coding, you're trying to figure out how to make something look a certain way, and it's not working. The most important thing to do is to put it down and walk away. And don't just walk away for an hour or so. Walk away until your mind is no longer picking at the issue, trying to figure out why it's not working. You stay away from it until you basically forget the issue is there, and then you go back. Because once you have pretty well forgotten its existence, when you go back at that point, that is when you'll actually have fresh eyes and when you will most likely see the problem. And don't let yourself lose sleep over it. If you're tired and you've been working on this for hours already, put it down, go to sleep. It's always better to wake up early after a good sleep and feel behind rather than push through and be groggy and tired, because you will mess up if you try to push through. And you will click the wrong thing, and you may even delete the whole thing by accident. So just don't do it. Go to sleep.
Yep.
It's okay. It's better to be a bit behind than it is to accidentally delete the whole thing. So you got to give yourself permission to do that, especially if you're working from home.
Absolutely. Alrighty. your turn.
My turn for a plugin. So I have login timeout sessions. I noticed this plugin because a while back I was trying to find a plugin that had this capability for someone. I wound up finding something different that had more options that they wanted to have added, so it worked out. But having a plugin with just this option, I couldn't find it before. So I thought this would be pretty useful. You can either use this as a global for all users, or you can change it. Oh, sorry, I should say what it is. This plugin is designed to limit or expand the number of days or hours that the session cookies and Remember Me cookies are set for when people log in. You can either set this for global, which is for all users, or you can choose very specific roles to set this for. The plugin uses the role definitions that you'll find in the WordPress codex, and they very helpfully give you a link to this codex. There are a lot of names that don't make a whole lot of sense at first glance, so make sure that you figure out which of the labels that you're choosing is it correctly corresponds to the role that you're wanting to set this for. To use this plugin, after you download and activate it, you need to go over to Settings on your left-hand menu, and then you'll find Login Sessions. This will take you to the dashboard where you can either set the cookies globally or you can set them individually. There are two options, New Session and Remember Me. The New Session setting is for when a person simply logs in. This will set the cookies to remember the person login information for whatever time period you choose. You can choose minutes, hours, or days. And the number, it seems like you can put in however many numbers you want. Like I put in 60 digits and gave up counting. So they don't put a limit on how long you can set the cookies for. Now, for the special Remember Me and everything, you can only choose one special role. There is not an option to set it for various roles, so you need to choose carefully or go global. I think this plugin could be very useful as a global setting, or very useful if you need to make sure that any admin who logs in can only have cookies lasting for a day, or if you have multiple people coming in who I can't think the word when they go and they fix the writing. Editor. Yeah, editor. So if you have various editors, you can set just their cookies. I can see how it would be very useful. But I think also that if they had set it up so you could choose like 2 to 4 different roles to set the cookies for, so you could have different options for the various roles, I think that would have been more useful in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely would have.
But it is a free plugin, so it works really well for being available to absolutely everyone. They're not getting paid for it, so
pay the developers some money and get it customized.
Exactly. I rate this at 4 dragons.
Very good. All right. Okay.
It's time to donate to WP Plugins A to Z.
So this is our producer know-how and donation segment. There are loads of ways to use this as your tool to get out there, like getting an interview, leaving a review for a plugin, or donating your own plugin review or your own plugin license. I recommend you give it a go and see how it helps. It can help you, and it helps the show too. You can check out our show notes in this section to see all the different ways you can be part of your own production. Another thing you can do is you can you can get yourself a producership credit. We have 3 levels of producers that help keep the show's larder stocked to bursting. We have freelance producers, backroom producers, and war room producers. There are special perks for backroom and war room producers, and you can learn about that on our site, wppluginsatoz.com. You just go up to the menu, click Time, Treasure, or Talent Donations in our main menu, and you can learn all the nitty-gritty details on how you can add your 2 cents. And we do have a question today.
Oh, well, before you jump into that, you might want to remind folks that we do have a new interview online too.
Oh, yes, we do. We have a new interview that has been released recently. It's definitely worth checking out. I can't remember.
It's for social account buttons for lead capture, gated content, and newsletter signups from breadandbutter.io. It's a really good interview. with Isaiah Pascal, and it was really quite the excellent interview. So I had a good time talking to him. And somehow I think I got the name wrong on it, on that article.
I got to listen to the interview since I did the write-up for it, and it was actually a very good interview. Lots of information. They covered a lot of how the plugin works and what it's used for, and very cool. Worth checking out.
All right.
Hemdian asked, is a login plugin Scottish? I don't know. It might be.
Good question. I don't know.
So on to our question here. Amber and John, I need a plugin to track what time, hour, minutes, i.e. 10:47 a.m., people come to my site and how long they stay on each page. If it will track where on the page they scroll to, that would also help. What would you recommend as the best one you know of so far? Thanks, Frank.
I know there's lots of plugins that do that. I just don't know which ones they are because I haven't used any in quite some time. There's a lot of tracking plugins that will track everything that happens on a site.
Yeah, there are a lot of tracking plugins. I would recommend that as you're going through the various plugins, you read the description, because a lot of the tracking plugins have so much information. They do so many different things.
Yeah.
If you're only looking for one particular thing, I would say look for a plugin that talks about the one item you're looking for as its main function and not have very many other things going on.
And keep going.
No, go ahead.
And be aware of one other thing is sometimes these plugins add their own tables to your database, and they can get really heavy real fast by tracking and collating that data.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I've had that problem in the past while using tracking plugins. So you'll have to be aware of how they do and how often the data tables are cleaned out of the data.
Oh, hopefully that helps.
Yep, that's the best I can do for it. I haven't had need for that plugin like that. So
yeah, it's been a while since I've ended up looking into them. So we have some miscellaneous announcements. If anyone out there has announcements like a meetup or that they're going to be on stage at a WordCamp, send the information into us and we'll add it into this section here and get your news out to the world for you. If you're interested in finding WordPress meetups somewhere around the world, you can go check out the places at meetup.com/pro/WordPress. The next WordPress Victoria meetup is on June 1st. It's an online meeting. You can check it out. We have the link in our show notes. And there are 4 WordCamps that happened around the world this month. You can check that out at central.wordcamp.org. So we'll keep bringing information to everyone. If you have your information, again, send it in to us. You can reach us. You can either send it in to us at a brick and mortar address, or you can send it in to our virtual addresses too. You'll find all that information right there. Today's plugins we covered were...
I covered up the WP Recipe Maker by Bootstrapped Ventures. So it's an excellent plugin, compatible with both Classic Editor and Gutenberg. It has an Elementor block and very easy workflow. So go check it out. I gave it a 5 Dragon rating.
And I covered Login Timeout Sessions by Galaxy Web Links. This is to set a new login session. You can choose how long the Login Remember Me session lasts for and set special timeout session for users with a specific capability. So the different roles that people play in your site. I rated this at 4 dragons.
Very cool.
It's question and answer time with John and Amber.
If anyone out there has a question they'd like to have asked here at this part of the show, you can send them in to me at amber@wppro.ca. And we'll see if we can stump my dad. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but we've gotten close, so we're getting there. Hemdian said, if using a tracking plugin, remember privacy issue, required legal declarations, GDPR, etc.
Yeah.
That is a really good point.
Yeah, there's that problem too.
Okay, so first question is, Since we are dealing with a lot of PHP updates recently, what is it that causes a site to be unable to update to PHP 8.0? And if it's okay with 8.0, what is the issue between 8.0 and 8.1?
Well, they made so many changes in PHP between 8 and what was 7.4. They did away with legacy code. They did away with, I can't remember the names of the way of writing code or compiling it together, and it's no longer compatible. And what were very perfect ways of writing your functions in 7.4 are no longer acceptable for 7.3 because of the change in the code. And they made some further changes when they went to 8.1. That's what it boils down to, and it could be any plugin, theme. WordPress is fully compatible as far as I can tell. The problem is lying in plugins and themes. And of course, if you might have on your site, you might have an old legacy plugin that hasn't been updated in years, but is perfectly safe and secure and runs beautiful. But because of the way the code was written, it won't work in 8.0 or and above. And I've run into that problem on a couple of websites so far. I've been doing a fair number of 8.0 upgrades, and it's in there. It's just a random errors in the codes, and it's just because they've been making so many changes in 8, and then more changes in 8.1, and then additional changes in 8.2 because they're up to 8.2 now for PHP. So
yeah, I noticed that like one of my own hobby sites, it's at 8.0, and I figured, okay, well, let's see if it'll go up to 8.1. Nope, it breaks.
It breaks. Yep, it is really bizarre. You think if it was good for 8, it would be for 8.1 and above, but no, it's not. There's a lot of sites
really
that'll function at 8. Oh, it is. There's a lot of sites that'll function at 8, but won't function at 8.1 or 2.
So frustrating. But yeah, I guess the plugins are the first thing to look at.
Plugins are the first thing to look at. Chances are it's gonna be in the plugins, and usually you can find the error that's being generated in the error log. You know, just go look at the error log that's collected in your WordPress directory. You know, you should see the error log there. Or if that doesn't work, turn on PHP errors and have it display the error on the screen and see where the error is. Or use one of the other multiple numbers of tools out there that help you find the error. And once you find the error, you can track it to the plugin, and then the piece of code in the plugin and track it down that way. Get the tracking tools out and start looking.
All right, next question. When a person is part of an online game, they get this option to invite others to join them, be part of their posse. This link takes the person directly to the right place and adds them into the right posse. Can you explain how this link gives the right information to the receiver, whether it's a phone they open the link in or on a computer?
Okay. You're asking me about gaming stuff. I haven't played online games.
Not just gaming, like that was just the first example that popped in my head. But I mean, when you think about it, in a newsletter, they'll send out like a specialty coupon specifically for an email.
It's just a URL with information.
But can you explain why? Because I was asked this question before and I couldn't figure out exactly how to explain it. Can you explain how it is that it'll get sent to this person and they click on that link and it takes them to the exact right place with the right information, whether it's a phone or a computer?
Well, the phone and computer makes no difference. You're still using the internet. You're still following a URL link. And that URL link will have a whole bunch of encoded data after it that takes you to where it's supposed to go and do what it's supposed to do based on the encoded data that is attached to that URL link. That's exactly how it works. There's no real mystery to that one. It's a URL. Everything it's online. You're doing it online. It's an encoded link. It's usually got encoded data. Like if you look at some of those links in newsletters, etc., and you mouse over, you'll see a link goes to their website, and then after that, you'll see a question mark equals, and then you'll see a whole bunch of random string of numbers and data. That's the encoded bit. that tells
So
it
there
where.
is no other way to explain this, because that's pretty much how I explained it to someone, and they didn't understand it. So I guess I was hoping you would have a different way to
There
explain
is no way to translate that piece of geek speak into English.
it. Okay.
That is a piece of geek speak that is permanently the only way it can be translated. If you want, the simplest thing is you're just following a URL link to where you need to go. If they can't understand that, then they shouldn't be on the internet. So,
All right. Well, I've got a couple more questions to ask right after our closing credits.
all right. Well, for those of you listening to the download, remember we have more questions after the closing credits, but you got to go to the YouTube channel and watch the end of the show there. All right. Let a girl take us on out.
Reminders for the show. All show notes can be found at wppluginsa2z.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A to Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by developers because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to wppluginsa2z.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show at Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and in the iTunes Store. You can also leave us a review on our Facebook page using wppluginsa2z.com/Facebook. You can also watch the show live on YouTube, check out the screencasts and training videos, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. Follow the show on Twitter at WPPluginsA2Z. John can also be reached at his website, johnoverall.com, or email him directly, john@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.
All right, so those of you that stuck around for the YouTube channel, hey, we got a bonus here from Hemdian. He says, sometimes when updating PHP, the issue might be the included library settings, so when faced with a plugin that breaks after a PHP upgrade, it doesn't hurt to review them. Fix the problem for him. And he further stated the PHP settings reachable from the cPanel. So you're talking about going and editing the PHP settings. Well, that could be a problem too. Hopefully,
Yeah, that never really occurred to me, but that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, I hadn't tried that yet, so that's something I may try on the next one I do that breaks and see where it goes from there. So go tweak the settings, but you know, most of the sites I work on are on my settings, so I've already reviewed all those settings on my server and tweaked them out to the best of my knowledge. So
Thanks, Hemdian. That's awesome.
yeah, we'll check that one out. Appreciate that. All right, you have further questions for us, so let's go.
So, what would you recommend to a person who needs to have control over content access via age range used for their site? What would be the most secure way to go and why?
There is no secure way.
I didn't say secure, I said most secure.
There is no most secure way either for content that's got to be age ranged. The only way you can
Okay.
do it via age range, you know, the problem is let's face it, everyone lies about their age on the internet.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. You set up the information in good faith, like the adult sites or whatever that say, do you agree that you're over 18? As the 10-year-old clicks on it, goes, oh, absolutely. You know, the closest you can get to it is a membership site that requires a credit card payment, because at least at that point there, you've made every honest effort to ensure that somebody is over 18.
All right. Well, that actually that makes a lot of sense.
Because to have a credit card, you're supposed to be 18 and older to have a credit card, and
Yeah.
to use it online as a credit card. So that sort of is an honest effort on your part to ensure that everyone's 18. That doesn't guarantee it. The only other way to guarantee it is to make people send you a photo of their ID card. But are they sending you a photo of their ID card?
That's a good question.
Because you don't know.
Is it theirs or is it their parents?
Is it
or older
theirs?
siblings?
Yes. Is it a stolen ID card? I mean, come on. We're talking about the internet here. There is no way through the internet. Sure, you could do a video stream, but again, it's really easy to put up fake video or fake background on a video.
Now.
Well, it's even easier now with AI to help generate it for them. So it's even easier now than it was. So there is no way to do that. I can't recommend any way that is a guaranteed. There's none. You can do all the different things that you're supposed to do to help ensure, but it's still no guarantee. And none of them are 100% secure. You know, the credit card route with membership site is your most secure. You know, especially if you have not.
That actually does make sense. Turn into a membership and do the credit card route. That would like mix that with the "Are you over 18?" or "Give me a birthday." I think if you mix those two together, that would probably be the best option.
Yeah, that's your best option there if someone's looking to do something like that. So.
All right. And last question.
Mm-hmm.
What would you recommend for user access tracking to figure out what they are most interested in and why? I find it interesting that this question is here while we got a question about from a listener.
User access tracking. I don't have a specific plugin for it. I mean, I've used a couple of tracking plugins, but they only track when people have logged into the site, and I have one that tracks one that I use on some sites for tracking when administrators log in to know what the administrators do to the site. You know, that's the only tracking I ever do nowadays.
I have to admit that I had help with these questions because I have a friend who he's interested in building a site.
Yeah.
And now he's asking me these questions, and I'm like, hey, if you have these questions, other people probably have these questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, like, would you say that a premium is going to be better than a free one, do you think?
Not always.
Why not?
Well, I've seen over the years that I've gone both premium and free versions. Sometimes the free version of a plugin is often a lot of times way better than a free version or a premium version. You know, depends on the guy who developed it. I've seen premium versions that they were just crap. They were just poorly coded, thrown together too fast, and the guy was hoping to make a buck.
Okay.
You know, so it's hard to know. The best thing to do is find one that's a freemium plugin. And that, you know, they have a free version that allows you to test out enough, and then they give you a glimpse at what the premium options are. And, you know, that way you find out if it's got the premium stuff that you can use.
Hemdian said, ask someone a super up-to-date pop culture question. If they get it correct, chances are they are underage. And ask them a question about real music. If they get it right, they're middle age or older. I like that.
Yeah. Go with culture stuff, because, you know, there is a generational divide in all the culture.
Yep. I think that's a really good idea, actually, because there's a bunch of plugins where you can create your own questions. So that might actually work really well.
Yep. That might just do the trick. You never know.
All right. I think that may be the show.
That looks like it. I think we've reached the end of everything. So thanks, everyone, for showing up, and we greatly appreciate your time here. Thanks again for showing up, Hendian. Always fun when you're here and toss some input our way.
Love it when Hendian is able to show up and add his 2 cents.
Yeah, always useful. All right, a little bit of music. Carry us on out to the end.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend morning comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
Alrighty, folks. That's all we've got for you now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Oh my god, that is amazing!
Oh no.